So with the addition of Darkmoor, we got a level increased to 180. And I know a lot of people are going to ask, what is the best build currently to use at 180 and whatnot? Of course, 180 is not out yet in live realm. Maybe you're watching this video in the future. I recorded this on test realm, hence the test realm build on the far right. So if things got changed and if you guys are seeing like slight percentages that are different in the future, that's because, hey, stuff got changed. It's test realm. But as of right now, I actually went out my way because currently you can't buy any of the gear from the test shop and whatnot. I assume like in the next week, maybe like in the next couple builds, we'll be able to. They made us let us buy reagents, but they didn't let us buy gear, which made no sense. So I decided to put some time aside and I went out and farmed gear. Yes, I went out and farmed gear on test round just for this video, which is not something you should do. Um, I just spent a lot of time aside recording a lot of videos and I decided to do that. So this is the new build that I am rocking. And this new build is 256 storm damage. And then I also have fire damage, but I just wanted to show you guys and put this in perspective what the pins are doing this update. I can run 274 fire damage on a storm. Yes. And then when it comes to my health, I do have 9.5k. I do have 37 resist, and I also have extra res to fire. I just felt like it just was needed. I have 42 accuracy. I do have 12 accuracy to fire because I do have pins on. And my crit rating now with the new build is I'm at 1020 crit rating. Yes, that is a thing now. My block is 460, and then my pierce, I dropped it down to 50 pierce. I believe on my other builds I had like more pierce, I had like 60 or something like that. But stat caps are no longer a thing for PvE. I double checked with Cam, Hephaestus, if you guys know him, the dev, and stat caps are uncapped now, and that's the intention. I know back when we had Waldaroo, there was no stat cap, and then it got re-added. And after, a world or two, which is now we made our way to Darkmoor, it is now uncapped. So this seems intentional in their eyes. So that's why instead now I'm going to drop my pierce all the way to 50, which is, I think 50 is the baseline is what you should be going for. And then after that, you can prioritize everything else into damage. That's just a personal preference of mine. And honestly, it's useful because a lot of bosses and a lot of mobs and just usually what it comes like, the cards that they have, like 50% of pierce is what you should be going for. It should be the average of what you should be going for. Now if you're like, hey, this boss doesn't have that much res and you don't mind, you should always pack another ring or another amulet that has damage, so then you can drop your pierce even more. I don't know if I have a damage one on me. Let's see. I can give you guys an example. Okay, yeah, so here's an example. Let's say I don't care about the extra pierce because I'm like, hey, I know I pierce this boss, I can lower my pierce even more. Then why not just increase your damage? So 267 damage is something you can do, and you can even go further beyond where if you were to, I think I don't have it on me, I have to go grab it, so give me 1 second and I will be back with my thing. Okay, now that I got my thing, let's just say for example I'm fighting a boss and we don't care about pierce at all. We can increase my damage even further. So this is with all damage jewels. Just remember, this is all damage jewels, no pierce jewels, no pierce on the pet, and no pierce on the deck. This is all damage, and I can reach 289 damage on a storm. But my pierce is 32, so I mean, hey, let's just put that out there. That's something you do have to be wary about. But if you don't care about pierce, hey, 289, and that's with all damage. So if you were wondering what's the highest damage you currently get on a storm without using like other weird builds, you can get to 289 comfortably. So which is crazy. It is crazy. But this is the traditional build that I would recommend, if anything, which is incorporating the new pieces of gear. So let's venture on to what pieces I'm using. I'm using the new hat, which is the Abomination Crown, the shocking one, and it gives slight damage increases. You guys can see versus Avatar / Reaver template, which I get the same amount, or I get a little bit more health. I do get a little bit more block, as well as I do get a little bit more crit and 1% extra damage. So That's why we're using this one, which is a new hat. And the new hat looks like this. I think I have it right somewhere in my inventory. Actually, I don't. I think I only got one hat from me farming. Oh, no, I have the ice one. This is what the hat looks like. It has like it's like white. And I think like the tier 2 template, which is this one, it looks black. So I don't know if this is dropped from the same boss. I have to like revisit some things. But this is the tier 2 template, and it looks different. When it comes to robe, you're still using demonic. If you don't have demonic, you've never done the Polaris raid, you should be using Mortis robe, which you get from the pack, the Mortar Sword pack. The exact same robe, just the only difference is that this is from a raid and the item card is different. But it doesn't really matter. The item card doesn't really matter. You just want the stats. So the boots are the new shocking abomination stompers, but you can realistically still use Reaver. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there's not much of a difference. If anything, it's just health and it's just block and res. The thing is, or of course crit rating, the thing is your damage and pierce stats are exactly the same, and your accuracy stats are exactly the same. So is there a real reason to even go out and farm this? That's for you to decide if you want the extra res. The sad thing is though, is you lose that item card, which I was a huge fan of this item card on Reaver boots, but they changed it to a Galvantic field now, which kind of sucks. So there's going to be some slight times where I do change to this pair of boots just for the item card, but hey, what are you going to do? But for overall min-max purposes, these are the boots that you'd be running. And then when it comes to wand, I am using the new raid wand upgraded. So this is the 180 variation of the shocking attunement rod. You guys can see this is what the 171 looks like, and you can see that the literal difference is I gain 3 damage on the new wand. I do gain 26 extra crit rating and 3 extra block. So that's the main difference between these. The item cards are exactly the same between the two. I'm glad that they did that. I know some people like it when they change it. I honestly am in favor of the cards that are given on here, and I don't want them to change it. I think the only thing I would, if they do change anything, is change it from a Galvantic field to a Starblade. The Starblades are so good because that's why I would use the Shabalba wand instead of the Shocking wand, is because they're the same exact template, same exact wand, just different item cards. It's just the item card on here from the Starblade was just more valuable because I can run a setup where I had a Starblade, an Elemental Blade, as well as a Stormblade. So I had all those capabilities, but now I don't, which kind of sucks as well. So there's that. But this is what it looks like. I know I'm not using 155 health jewels and whatnot. I'm not trying to I'm not going to go out and go get those as well. But hey, this is basically min-max, just losing like 15 HP. But when it comes to damage and pierce, you do want to use the new shocking wand. And I know some people are going to ask, can I use the new wand from here? And the answer is yes. You guys can see, where is it? I think it is this one. Yeah, it's this one. The difference is that you do get universal crit rating from here, but this gives you shatter rating. The damage and pierce is exactly the same. This gives you just universal pierce, while this only gives you storm damage and pierce. So pick your poison, doesn't really matter. It's just the item cards are different, and this gives shatter rating, this doesn't. So, but this gives universal. Universal crit rating. So there's that. When it comes to the wands, you can pick between the two. The Athame, I'm actually still using the shocking August Athame. Now the reason why I'm still using this is because of the triangle socket. I like the triangle socket. I like being able to socket on an epic jewel. I've been a fan of it. There's a YouTube short on how to farm this, and still I think this is a really good piece. Till we get a 180 variation of this, which will happen next year, I'm still going to be using this for the time being. It's just good. It's just good because the fact is you get that triangle jewel. Now the Reaver one is still a good option. If you do not care about the triangle jewel, you're not going to go out and farm it. If you just want extra HP, you can still use the Reaver one, and technically you can even use the new Athame, which would be technically better than Reaver, because it gives extra HP, slight HP and slight block. Everything else is exactly the same. So if you don't care about the triangle jewel, you can use the shocking abomination Athame. It's just I still prefer this, and this would be on my min-max setup, which is the August Sage Knife. So just to put that in perspective, why I'm not using that is because I like the triangle jewel. But if not, you use the new Athame just so you could socket on 500 extra HP, so you can get to 10k HP on a storm. So there's your option. The amulet, I'm using the shocking private eye one. and this is specifically the 180 upgrade. Now I know I keep a lot of amulets on me, but the Reaver one is still good as an alternative option because you do get a Stormblade from here. That's why it was so good. It's a Stormblade that you can use for multiple things, and you can still use the 170 variation. The difference between the 170 variation of Private Eye versus 180 is that you get the extra res. You get extra res, and you get slight extra stats to everything else. But same exact item cards. And when it comes to the new amulet, I know some people can ask about that, if it's worth farming or not. There are some differences, but technically, if you already have Raver, I don't think you should realistically farm this unless you want the extra res, because I believe this gives 6 res. I don't know if I think Reaver gives 5, or how much does it give? Yeah, it gives 5. So you are getting a 1 extra res if you're going to be using that instead of the raid template, but that's up to you. I still think you should be using your private eye one from the new raid. If not, just use your Reaver one, or you can go out and farm the new amulet. That is up to you. And then when it comes to the ring, I am using the new ring, which is a shocking abomination ring. Now, if we compare this to Reaver, you guys can see there is no damage increase. The only difference is you're getting a slight 6 extra HP, or something like that. Yeah, it's 6 extra HP, and then on top of that, 20 extra crit rating. Beyond that, everything else is still the same. So you can still use a Reaver ring, but I use this because that's how I achieved the 1000 crit rating. It is an upgrade regardless, so that's why we're using it. Now, when it comes to the pet, I did switch over to a all damage pet. Now, I've pre-made so many of these pets. I have like an all damage one. I have an all damage one with pierce on it. I have an all damage one with double pierce on it to kind of circumvent situations that happen like this, because it always happens. It always happens when it comes to gear. So that's why we're using the all damage, because with the setup, I kind of just went down to 50 pierce in favor of all damage. So that's why we're swapping back to an all damage for Lasor for the set bonus. And the set bonus is what's giving us extra 6% damage. And when it comes to deck, we are using the Private Eye deck, the 180 variation. You can use the new deck. It just comes down to you if you really want the attenuate. But the thing is, if you already have attenuate trained in casual PvE, you don't really need that. And the Private Eye one is giving you the same exact stats. It just prioritizes HP a little bit more instead of block. And the block you don't really care about. I feel like the HP is more of an incentive, in my opinion. And you do get the blade, which I do use from here. So there's pluses to it. And we'll just have to wait till they come out with more template upgrades for like other pieces, which isn't going to be for a while, as we only just got the world template and the raid template. So there's that. But with all that, this is how you achieve these stats, and this is going to be my stats in live realm whenever live realm comes out, unless certain things change, of course, with certain percentages. Then of course I will adjust them. Also, I know it says 6% res. I think it bugs out sometimes. I don't know when KI is going to get around to that. It's not supposed to do that. It, like, for some reason, will give me the next piece of this the set bonus, which is this when I don't have 3 pieces on. So there's that. I think it fixes it right here. No, it's still bugged. Just ignore the 6 stun resist. But yeah, that's how I achieve these stats. And I know some people can ask, well, are you going to change your deck setup at all? Because now that we have fusions, and I know some people are looking at Sound of Musicology and like, hey, are you going to start packing Sound of Musicology? Well, you definitely can. It does 1460, and with an epic, it does a lot, of course. And then I know some people are asking about Rusalka. I'm still kind of like thinking about it. I'm not 100% sure, because shatter rating is still something I'm not too much of a fan of, even after this update. There's been times where I've gone on turn 2, turn 3, but it also depends if the enemy has shatter rating. So, like I said, not too much of a fan of that, but you can pack Sound of Musicology in your deck, but you do have to have Shrike in your deck to fuse it, specifically Dark Shrike. So you would run a deck where it's like this, and then you also pack, for example, either a Bunyip or a Stormlord. So like you can do something like this. I'm just giving you guys an example, right? And then you pack, what's that? That's 1, 2, 3. 3, can't even count. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can do something like this, and then you can also drop either a Bunyip or a Stormlord, for example. If you're going to be relying on this, then you don't really need the Stormlord. You can pack another enchant, or you can pack a Frenzy. And you can do something like this. Yeah, but that requires you having Shad to even fuse this together to create that fusion of sound and musicology. So it'll be something like that. I'm just giving you guys a rough example and whatnot. Or you can even pack another card and you can have an 8-card deck. But if you deck fill your Frenzy, then there basically is no coming back from that. What you could do is pack a Blade instead, and there you go. You can do something like that as well. But that's if you want to rely on the Shad. If you don't, it's still going to be Bunyip, Tempest, as well as Stormlord in your deck. That really doesn't change, in my opinion, wherever Stormlord is. And you'd still pack another Epic. You'd have this. This still works, but if you really want to try out Sound and Musicology, you would use the other deck setup, in my opinion. But kind of crazy though with the pins. I only put, like, I just want to put this in perspective. I only put on pins just to showcase in the video. Am I actually going to be using this setup with the pins and whatnot? No. Just wanted to point out that you can have 274 fire damage on a storm, and you can have even more life damage and ice damage and whatnot on a storm too, which is crazy to think about. But that's the 180 setup currently. Of course, if you know, this is test run, I want to put this in mind. This is test run. I am on the test run build, and things can change. Of course, there could be damage increases, there could be slight stat increases and decreases, and if that does happen, I will make another video in live room. But for test room sake, and so people can, you know, people were asking me a lot about the build and whatnot, this is what you would be currently running for. But that is it for me. Leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.